Hello and welcome to This Week with Pastor Dino. I'm Dino and I'm so glad you're joining us here at First Presbyterian Church of Bradenton, where we are cultivating hearts for Jesus from the heart of downtown. I hope you all had a wonderful 4th of July weekend, and we got kicked back off in church this Sunday with a sermon about the priesthood of all believers that I was really excited to deliver. And I just want to offer a quick reminder of what the Apostle Peter tells us about our roles and responsibilities. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light. Each one of us has this amazing calling placed upon our lives to not only be Christians, but to use our faith as a way of communicating Jesus to a broken world, to those who don't know who Christ is, don't know the ways of God, might not be living for God. We often talk about this in the church as the lost. Our job is to shepherd the lost. That's what pastors do. And as I talked on Sunday, we're all pastors in one way or another. We might not all be preaching from a pulpit or leading churches, but we all have pastoral functions. So this week, I want you to be thinking about who you could serve in Christ's name that allows you to talk a bit about your faith and why you are serving in that way, and be considering how you could be a pastor to someone in need. Thanks be to God. Our church office is going to be open all week this week. We have a lot going on around these parts, and I hope you've enjoyed the sermon series. You're doing it wrong. I know it kind of sounds like it has a negative connotation, but the cool thing is that Christ can use these things to help us correct our path when we're not on the right path. Now, several of you have been asking about my vacation, and so here's a couple of slides just for a minute to show you kind of what some of the Rustin family did while we were away for 3 weeks. Check it out. In just a couple of weeks, Mike Chapunski, who's the Executive Director of Youth for Christ, he was just here a few weeks back talking to me right here in the studio. He's going to be here actually to preach for our church coming up here at the end of the month. And by kind of leading into that, I want to make sure our church is familiar with his ministry. So today I want to show you a couple of short videos about a local ministry called the 180 House. That's a huge part of what Youth for Christ is doing today for teens. It's just awesome ministry. And again, I'm so glad that Mike will be able to share his heart with us and tell us a little bit more about what Youth for Christ is up to and how we can get involved. Now, this week in terms of online content, Wednesday night we have a concert coming at you at 7 p.m. You don't want to miss that. It's going to be awesome. We have breakfast and Bible study on Saturday morning. That is held over Zoom. So if you go to our church website, bradenton.church/Zoom, you can find out all the information you need to join that class. We also have worship on Sunday morning at 9 and 11, and we'll be streaming that online as well. As you go away from this week with Pastor Dino today, I want you to be thinking about your pastoral roles, your pastoral functions. Again, it doesn't mean you have to be a preacher. It doesn't mean you have to be an evangelist like Billy Graham. It just means that you need to be willing to talk about Jesus in your life, your failures and your shortcomings, as well as the successes and the blessings that you've experienced in Christ. Be willing to share those, because there's people who need to hear those stories and have their own redemption. So with that in mind, go enjoy being pastors this week and beyond, and I'll see you next time on This Week with Pastor Dino. Bye-bye.